After seeing Sophie Cunningham get smacked with no repercussions, Caitlin Clark lost it on the authorities. This was more than just a poor decision. It was a complete embarrassment. What transpired during the Indiana Fever's thrilling 78-74 victory over the Seattle Storm should humiliate the whole WNBA. This missed whistle wasn't like the others. It was a classic example of everything that is fundamentally wrong with WNBA officiating. I'm not claiming that your work is easy, but what are you doing when a straightforward call is made repeatedly in front of your face? What are you doing? What call are you unable to answer? Nearly anything. It seems as though they are incredibly unreliable. As if I'm into it. As in, you're going to be fucking me if you're on the opposing team. Yes, cool. However, let me to do it to you. They gave you permission. Yes. Do you understand? So you want consistency? Yes. Everyone is asking, what's going on with the referees? I believe that's the case for players throughout the league and new fans nationwide. And I say, I'm not sure. As if they were queuing up for Sunday Night Football, Sophie was calmly securing the ball after snagging a defensive rebound when she was thrown to the ground by a Storm player. Instead of officiating a professional basketball game, the referee was standing right there, front row seat and everything, observing as if he were at a backyard barbecue. Do I ever support players throwing other gamers to the ground? No. We have saw a great deal of it in the WNBA. He sees this unfold before his very eyes. He does nothing during the play's intense contact. He doesn't raise his voice. The play is not stopped by him. Here, he doesn't call a foul. At that point, Caitlin Clark, who had been sidelined for 7 games in a row due to a persistent groin issue, had had enough. Well, we have some updates regarding our recuperation. Is proceeding smoothly. I just believe that we should stick with it and make sure that we're extremely careful about every step we take, that we don't have any setbacks, and that we're patient with it. The most crucial thing is to make sure she's prepared, even if I know she wants to be on the floor and we want her to be there. I'm still not sure how far we've come, Well, we're gonna go day by day, one step at a time. And then, and so forth. She was unable to be silent. She ripped it. She was directly in front of you. What made you decide against it? Her voice pierced the arena, and in all honesty, all of the basketball fans in attendance must have been nodding in agreement. The degree of ineptitude was simply astounding. Give a shout out to the actual refs who are keeping it down on the court, and leave a spicy Sophie in the comments if you're as tired of them as the rest of us of seeing games ruined. Since the players aren't being protected, I'm not even sure what they can do. And while I am aware that we frequently discuss this in relation to Indiana Fever, this does occur throughout the league. There are a lot of plays we could perform. Have any of you got any ideas about what can be done? When the coaches expose them to the media, they are penalized. As if this is a top-down problem. This is a commissioner's concern because the WNBA is currently experiencing a defining crisis due to the chaos and circus of officiating. And a league on the verge of dissolution has made Caitlin Clark's indignation its rallying cry. Although I have already expressed my disapproval of the WNBA's officiating, it is simply terrible. Very, very awful. For example, rules must be in place to keep overt physicality from taking over the game. And that's our situation. In the NBA, we have it. It is present in the WNBA. These officials don't know what a foul is or isn't, which is why no one wants to call a lot of fouls. They cannot even distinguish when a ball crosses the boundary line. Some of these games had over 2 million viewers. You must have a properly officiated product, or at the very least, one that is officiated with competence and confidence. The WNBA's refereeing has officially reached its lowest point. Fans of the Indiana Fever are no longer the only ones raising the alarm. The officiating errors are occurring week after week, game after game, and players, coaches, and fans from all around the league are adding to the problem. It's embarrassing. Just consider how crazy this whole situation is. Sophie Cunningham was fined $500 for making a TikTok that made fun of the referees. In the meanwhile, live games are ignoring full contact hits. That tells you all you need to know about the WNBA's current priorities. Even worse, Commissioner Kathy Angelbert had the audacity to assert that the only teams who complain about officiating are the ones that lose. Perhaps someone should let her know that winning or losing isn't important when your biggest star is being beaten up every night. It has to do with professionalism and fundamental safety. It's not only Caitlin Clark this year. Think it's done if you don that Indiana Fever jersey. The referees will cheat and do whatever it takes to follow orders from superiors. They will not be fair. Even the most reputable people in the league are tired. In public, Becky Hammond has been going crazy, wondering how she was battered for 40 minutes and only managed to make 6 free throws. Kelsey Plum is showing up to press conferences covered in scratches. And my face was scratched. I'm tired of these guards on the opposing team getting ticky-tack fouls and getting scratches on my body. Every possession I have, I get fouled like that. They never call it, and Ray is constantly fouled in the post like that. I'm at a loss on what to do. However, it's incredibly annoying. There are several shots in the final seconds of the game, either in the third or the fourth, where they are just coming and swinging and they don't call any. I'm thinking. However, amid this garbage fire, the turmoil is being overtaken by one player. With Caitlin Clark out, Sophie Cunningham once again showed why she is the Fever's most important player with another outstanding performance. Jabby Williams bursts into the door, unable to complete it, carries it up into BBY's arms. Indiana just signed him for the remainder of the season. A stretch for it has been a fantastic fit. Cunningham makes a three-pointer. Take a peek at her body. 66 and quite lengthy. On another three, Cunningham connects. She made 5 of 6 shots, including a lethal 4 of 5 from beyond the arc, and scored 17 points. Additionally, throughout the entire game, she was the only player for the Indiana Fever to make a three-pointer. From Sophie Cunningham, big games. Tonight, she is the only Indiana Fever player to make threes. From downtown, the Indiana Fever were 4 out of 21. And all 4 of those threes were hit by Sophie Cunningham. 17 points. Additionally, this wasn't late, which sets it apart from Sophie Cunningham's previous outstanding breakout performance in the Lynx game. Sophie Cunningham saved the day when it was said, "Oh, we're struggling offensively. Someone needs to come through." Nor is this a coincidence. Because of Sophie's recent outburst, supporters have dubbed her the Blonde Bomber. How frequently she explodes during the most important occasions. Sophie's confidence has skyrocketed since she went viral for supporting Clark during that altercation with the Connecticut Sun. Her jersey sales skyrocketed, and she amassed over 800,000 fans. More significantly, she has delivered when it counts most, and she has embraced the limelight wholeheartedly. The Blonde Bomber, Sophie. Tonight, Sophie, the prize, lit it up once more. Her recent performances have been nothing short of amazing, man. 17 points, 2 assists, 5 rebounds, 5 of 6 from the field, 4 of 5 from 3, and 3 of 4 from the free throw line. The Blonde Bomber Sophie has been burning. Sophie took the initiative in a huge way. Big-time manner. When your best player is not available, you need that. The supporting components must step up and perform. And Sophie Cunningham has been doing just that. One of the highlights of this season has been Sophie's transformation from a feisty role player to a certified WNBA star. She is no longer merely an enforcer. Additionally, she is the Fever's most reliable offensive weapon. She is a fan favorite because of that unique combination. However, her valor was unable to fully conceal yet another classic Fever near meltdown, because they almost wasted a 12-point lead in the fourth quarter, in typical Indiana manner. Once more, the Fever made every effort to blow a game, yet still managed to win it. Folks, that was almost an epic-level collapse. Wow, huh? That should never have happened. Stephanie Whited and Lexi Hall waited until the last minute to put Hull on defense. From 2 minutes in to 2.5 minutes in on defense, she ought to have been there. This nearly turned into a catastrophe because they were unable to get a significant rebound to save their lives. Halfway through the third quarter, Sophie's hot hand and strong assistance had the Fever cruising at 55-42. However, as soon as they settled in, the wheels came off. This crew seems to have an allergy to success. Anytime Clark isn't on the ground. Seattle cut the margin to just 4 points at the end of the quarter with a 10-2 run. What ought to have been a straightforward victory abruptly became a thrilling contest. I nearly had a heart attack because of the Indiana Fever. The Indiana Fever almost blew a 12-point advantage in the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, we let the Seattle Storm score 110 runs. I keep telling you that I don't trust Stephanie White. I apologize. In the final 4 minutes, we allow this side to narrow the margin to 1 run by giving up a run of 110. It was an extremely stressful fourth quarter. With just over 3 minutes remaining, Seattle rallied to make it 73-72. The nervousness in each Fever fan's chest was palpable. There is rarely a happy conclusion in this story, which we have seen far too often. This team is suffering greatly from a persistent problem with game completion. They nearly blew it, oh boy, blowing a whistle to stop the other team's run instead of using absurd whistles to stop runs. I'm not going to back down from this, even if I come out in the second half. There is a coaching problem when you start losing leads in the second half. What sport you play doesn't matter to me. Okay. Because that indicates that once the other coach made modifications during the second half, the other team emerged. And they get to work figuring it out. Well, that depends on your coach. Your coach is responsible for making adjustments in response to that change. When the clock strikes the fourth, they seem to lose their basketball skills. Sadly, it was one of Kelsey Mitchell's worst evenings in a long time. It was like seeing someone attempt to play the piano while wearing oven mitts while she was filming. She shot 0 for 8 from downtown and 3 for 16 from the field. Fortunately, other players intervened to halt the damage. Aaliyah Boston made a significant contribution. She scored 16 points and pulled down 12 rebounds on 7 of 11 shots, her 6th consecutive double-double. When everything else was crumbling, the Fever's game was saved by her own 9-point surge in the fourth quarter. Today, Kelsey Mitchell was unable to get it going. She is a roller coaster, as I mentioned earlier. You must keep in mind that she went off against the sky. What was she then? It's 8 for 24. She then had a successful game. Then she fell once more. Then she was up for the last game. She's down again at 3 of 16 in this game. Kelsey Mitchell is this person. She is a wild ride. She's an exhilarating ride. On 3 of her assertive personality once more. And the Fever could just make it through this terrible phase if she can maintain this. Now that Sophie is shouldering a large portion of the scoring burden, her presence in the paint and her enhanced defense have become crucial. One of the few bright spots in an otherwise turbulent season has been watching Boston become aggressive once more. Attacking the rim, boxing out aggressively, and contesting shots. We've benefited greatly from AB after all. She has been crucial. She started out in this league mostly playing on the low block and receiving a lot of post touches during her freshman year in college. She then played a lot in the two-man last year, her first season with Caitlin, and this year we're requesting that she also serve as a facilitator. She is also more versatile on defense than she has likely ever been, and she serves as a hub for us on the offensive end of the court. She has simply been rising to the occasion, developing, and improving. She is truly the key member of our team, you know. Natasha Howard deserves a great deal of credit for her veteran leadership, which has been Indiana's lifeline during this injury-plagued stretch. Despite everything else changing, she quietly became the team's emotional pillar after dropping 21 points. Like the seasoned veteran she is, Howard has been cutting through defenses and finishing deftly around the hoop. For a club that occasionally appears absolutely lost when Clark isn't there to plan things, her basketball IQ and veteran savvy have been vital. She is an expert at her role and performs it flawlessly. Just reliable execution, no hero ball, no overreaching. It is this level of professionalism that distinguishes title contenders from competent teams. Additionally, Howard's strategy has been refreshing in a league where far too many players are vying for attention rather than sticking in their lane. Players appear to be in need of a break. Cunningham does lay it in, going behind Diggins' back. You are aware of what occurs when a defensive player's deflection strikes the rim. The shot clock would continue to reset. Howard somehow weaves that in so it doesn't have to be a shot. In addition to the foul. 16, she awarded you 9 points. Shooting 3 out of 8. This is Boston. Boston, take a good look inside. Howard gives it his all. Aaliyah Boston averages more assists than anybody else in the league who is 6 feet 4 inches or higher. You are aware of what occurs when a defensive player's deflection strikes the rim. The shot clock would continue to reset. Howard somehow weaves that in so it doesn't have to be a shot. In addition to the foul, the timing of Boston's comeback couldn't have been more ideal. After battling without Clark, she now appears to. She is seen cutting across the lane. There's Skylar Diggins inside. She will therefore be the last to receive the Howard cut. Natasha Howard made a really challenging shot. The Storm had every chance to take this one over on the other bench. They had potential and good looks, but when it counted most, they blew up. Despite having many open shots in the final seconds, Seattle was unable to complete the task. This season, it's turning into their signature. Come close, then fall apart. Skylar Diggins had the opportunity to change the entire outcome, but he missed two wide-open threes. Enia Wome, who had 16 points at the end, disappeared in the last seconds, but the dagger arrived when her team needed her to step in. Gabby Williams tied the game on a wide-open look at the buzzer. The shot rimmed out, but the release appeared to be clean. That's how brutal basketball can be at times. Either magic or agony awaits the Knights after just one bounce. With 16 victories and 13 defeats, the Storm are now on a downward trajectory. It's terrible timing that they've lost 3 of their last 4 games at home. There is no room for error as the playoff race heats up. Seattle is running out of games to figure out why their fourth quarters keep getting canceled, and this Western Conference logjam is among the tightest in recent memory. Collapse. These days, home court advantage and postseason seats are at stake every night. Additionally, Seattle is falling short. I'm really proud of all of you. There were other techniques that we developed today in a tight game and in-game scenario that were really significant to us, all of you. That oil was profitable. Fantastic work. I'm pleased with all of you. Everyone made a contribution. Everyone entered and offered to give us a lift. I understand that it was a difficult shooting day, but thanks to your facilitation and that one huge jumper, we persevered and got stops when we had to. Big major win, you guys. Indiana wins big time. This victory was huge. It cemented the Fever's 5th place finish in the rankings, pushing them to 17 victories and 12 defeats. More significantly, they now have the tiebreakers against the 7th place Las Vegas Aces and the 6th place Storm. At the end of the season, they might be tied with 2 teams. Considering how much they relied on Caitlin Clark earlier in the season, it is truly amazing that they have won 5 games in a row without her. In actuality, without Clark this season, Indiana is at 9-7. An unexpectedly impressive record for a team that was predicted to falter as soon as its best player was injured. However, this achievement in her absence also begs the important question of when she will return. It's a PNW victory. W's in the conversation. W's in the conversation. That one really made me older, I must say. However, things are improving. Fire. Well done on your victory. Wins for winning. Go ahead and keep spinning because a dub is a dub. The road ahead only gets more difficult. With postseason implications at stake in every game, the Fever's upcoming games are crucial. If they wish to maintain their position in the standings, they must continue to bank wins. There is still a lot of uncertainty around Clark's absence. She arrived at the arena with everything she needed for the game: shorts, sneakers, etc. But she never put on a suit. There has been a lot of conjecture as a result. Is there more going on than the team is revealing? Or are they simply being extra cautious with her recovery? Every day of uncertainty counts as the playoffs get near, and it's just plain crazy in the Wild West. With teams stacked so closely together, the postseason race is a total traffic jam where one poor week may send you reeling. Every victory counts, every tiebreaker counts, and every missed or incorrect referee call has the power to change a season. It demonstrates our team's development because early in the season we were simply so erratic, and we would typically lose such games if teams did that. But only indicates our growing proximity. We have faith in one another. The most important thing, in my opinion, is to have faith in our ability to win those games, even if they go on runs. Which brings us full circle to the officiating problem that started it all. It has turned into the WNBA season's most memorable catastrophe. Although that may sound dramatic, that is the case. Referees who are obviously not up to the task are dragging the league down. Blown calls, inconsistent play, and plain carelessness are overshadowing incredible games and outstanding performances. Referees' inability to regulate the physicality of games is causing injuries to players, because no one is stepping in to halt the risky, careless defense being played against them. Celebrities like Caitlin Clark are missing weeks of work. Additionally, there is reputational harm in addition to bodily harm. It wasn't simply a squandered opportunity when Sophie Cunningham was thrown to the ground without a whistle. It served as a graphic representation of all the issues facing the league at the moment. It wasn't simply passion that made Clark yell from the bench. Anger was erupting. These are not singular incidents. They are a part of a bigger crisis that could ruin what ought to be the most thrilling and revolutionary season in the history of WNBA. Fans are paying attention. The arenas are full. All of that momentum, however, may quickly be lost if the games seem rigged or hazardous. In order to maintain a winning streak like this, the WNBA has experienced many ups and downs this season. But what does that kind of say about the way the squad has bonded? Yes, Seattle is a fantastic squad. It's challenging to play here, but the team is fantastic. We were aware of that. We were aware that they had just suffered a significant defeat to LA. They were hungry for a victory, I guess. We don't care about other teams, though. It has to do with our standard. The idea is to stack the days. It's not going to be easy going forward, but I believe that both individually and as a team, we're in a pretty good place right now. However, I believe we adhered to the scout today. We had faith in the offensive. What a fantastic season Kelsey has been having. Although she was a little off, she helped us offensively in the closing minutes. Even if your score isn't going to be there, it simply demonstrates that everyone has something to contribute. I'm just pleased of our squad and the fact that we stacked today, but I'm not sure. Nevertheless, Indiana continues to advance despite all the chaos. They have demonstrated their ability to live without their star. However, they shouldn't be forced to play against the officials and the other team every night. Instead of allowing games to become glorified wrestling contests, the WNBA ought to be showcasing the world's top athletes. Instead than becoming the plot, referees ought to improve the game. On a larger scale, Indiana still has a lot to be hopeful about. Not only is this 5-game winning streak without Clark amazing, it is evidence of depth, resiliency, and coaching modifications that are at last having an impact. If they can maintain their health, this team has the means to go deep. To realize their full potential, however, they will require fair officiating and strong bench output. Sophie, this run has made Cunningham a full-fledged star. She has persevered through a lot of pressure, terrible reps, and nasty hits, and she consistently performs well when it matters most. You create championship runs around players like that. She improves even more when the lights are at their brightest. The rest of the roster is now under pressure. When Caitlin Clark returns and the playoff march starts, can they match Sophie's level? Indiana has a genuine chance to achieve something exceptional if Aaliyah Boston continues to play like a dominant post presence. If Natasha Howard continues to do the grunt work, and if Kelsey Mitchell can eventually find her jumper again. To eventually get what they want, though, they will need the whistle. And each player on the bench must be prepared for their number to be called. If, like the rest of us, you're tired with officials spoiling games, leave a hot Sophie remark below. To ensure you don't miss anything, like, subscribe, and enable all notifications. We'll see you in the next video. Click the video on the screen.